Welcome to the Pitchwerks podcast. I'm Scott McTaggart. Over the last 20 years, I've been a sales rep, a marketer, a manager, an executive, a consultant, and an advisor. This show is designed to give you access to my list of contacts so that you can learn more about how to present your ideas at work and succeed in your career.
Startups and salespeople, marketers and managers from the Epicast Network in Pittsburgh. It's the Pitchwerks podcast.
When we first started, we thought, okay, we're going to go out and we're just going to sell directly to people. Maybe we'll do a Kickstarter. We're kind of naive.
Yeah.
That wasn't Bob.
Bob did not come up with that strategy.
No,
Bob was not there yet.
No, that's a tough thing. I mean, how would you know, though?
And you don't until you kind of go out there and you fall on your face and you figure it out.
Hey, everybody, it's Scott. It's Wednesday, and it's the Pitchwerks podcast, and I'm very happy to tell you that HiberSense is in the building, and I've been waiting to get them in here for a long, long time. This is one of those things where just everybody wins. They're going to save you a lot of money. They're going to make you comfortable. They're going to save the world. They're going to build stuff in America. They're going to high five. We're going to drink beer. It's going to be awesome. Jake and Bob are in here to tell you all about how those things are true. I assure you, I will return you back to your regular scheduled objectivity next week. But this week, I'm really happy that these guys are here. Before we start the interview, I'm going to ask you to rate and review Pitchwerks because that's how other people find it, and it's super important to me. So just a 1-star, 5-star sort of a thing. You've done it before. You can do it again. Let's talk to Bob and Jake and find out what's going on with HiberSense and why you want to know this company. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce the now shipping members of HiberSense. Sitting directly across from me, I've got CEO Jake Kring, and sitting on the couch between the two of us, Bob Fields, Chief Revenue Officer, who I got to tell you, you're among friends right now here on the Pitchwerks podcast, which sales, marketing, and startups. You're in the right place. The first place we have to start, right, is to make sure that the folks that are listening to us know exactly what it is that you're working on and why I am such an unapologetic geek for it, right? So I'm going to try something, and then I want you to jump in, right? So HiberSense is, among other things, a control platform for the comfort systems in your house. Is that a fair opening statement?
I think that's fairly accurate, yeah.
But it differentiates by actually giving you control in a way that hasn't been seen before. Also true?
Very true. We like to say we empower homeowners with control of a system that they've never had control over before.
Yeah. I loved the demo at Demo Day last year when you guys were showing video of like vents opening and closing and things like that. But I wanted to make sure that, people were seeing why I was excited, because sometimes I think you guys are probably, I don't want to say tired of it, but too close to it, right? Where for me, this is the kind of stuff I buy, man. This is what I buy.
You should have seen Bob earlier today when we were working with some designers, and he was just explaining all of the different ways that the software we have built into the product can really kind of revolutionize how you control your space in your home and understand how you use it, when you use it, and the different things you can do with it. So
yeah, I'm right there with you.
Hey, listen,
I don't think you're lacking energy.
No. Hey, look, you can't be a chief revenue officer if you're not excited about the products and services that you offer your clients, right? Because, hey, we're raising money, and if anybody's out there investing in companies, we'd love to talk to you. But at the end of the day, nobody makes money till you can sell a product or service over and over again. And what I love about HiberSense is we solve a problem that nobody has yet to be able to do.
Yeah.
HiberSense is a connected climate control solution for homes with forced air heating and cooling. There's up to 100 million of those homes in the U.S. today.
Yeah.
And according to the Department of Energy, there's over 90% of them have one zone, one thermostat.
Right.
Which means you're hot in one room, your partner's cold in the other room, and you go out in the hallway and you fight over the thermostat and see who's going to win.
You may not love the mention of that brand, but I'll tell you who the perfect person is for you. It's the person who's already bought into, like somebody else blazed the trail. I'll give you another one, Honeywell, right? Honeywell owns so many industries, right? They followed that same trail that had been blazed, where people had all these stalls and objections that they put up against the smart home. And then, Honeywell's like, oh yeah, we're a giant billion-dollar company. Let's just follow the trail that got blazed.
On one hand, we really do like what the Nest has done. It's created a lot of awareness on what you can do from an intelligence perspective in controlling your heating and cooling.
Yeah.
But now we get to come in and be that better solution, another step forward in terms of controlling your comfort.
And I seriously do believe if you could run the numbers, you'd find that the people that are going to buy your product are the people that bought that when it was new, right? And now they're waiting for their next hit.
Well, so we still get people who have 3 nests in their building, and they're sitting there thinking, I'm still uncomfortable. I can't figure it out.
I believe that. Call us. I'm one of them, right? And you guys won a CES award behind this. I mean, that's no small thing. I mean, I just, by the way of educating people, right? Like, that is the Consumer Electronics Showcase, I think is...
Consumer Electronics Show. It's the largest trade show in the U.S. 170 of our closest friends visit there each January. And it's really the innovation capital of the globe, right? People travel... many of the attendees, I think about a third or more are international attendees as well. So it's really an international showcase of technology. And so we were selected to be exhibit in their innovation showcase, which is called Eureka Park.
Oh, wow, cool.
And so you have to go through a process to be selected to do that. And we also were awarded, it's called the Tech Home Mark of Excellence Award for Energy Efficiency Product of the Year, which we love, right, that we got that. But we were in competition with companies like LG Electronics that had 3 products in the category, and we beat them. And what was interesting is
that's a good feeling.
That award was given, at a reception after, in one of the evenings of the show, and there was, hundreds of people who are our target audience that we want to sell to in the room. And when they were getting ready to make the announcement, they listed all of the logos of the companies on the board, and literally when they called out HiberSense, it was kind of the strangest thing. The crowd it was like deafeningly silent because they had no idea who HiberSense was. And I had enough time to think, oh my gosh, are they going to clap? And then all of a sudden it was like a rounding, applause because people were like, oh my gosh, HiberSense. And then we stayed there for like 3 hours talking to people after that because they now knew about us.
You've been at those things, though, where you got that distinct sense of a pay-to-play or a quid pro quo was somewhere in the air. So I think probably a little bit of it was just a legit amazement that maybe the system works.
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head there, right? Because there is some play of that. So certainly I would think our friends at LG Electronics may have thought that they were going to win an award since they had submitted so many into that same category.
Absolutely. That's a multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation. I remember when they were lucky Gold Star.
Yeah. We don't want to...
They get so mad when you bring that up now. And I mean, no disrespect to it. It's just when people ask me if I know what LG is, and I go, I remember when they were lucky Gold Star. I literally had a lady like berate me at a bus stop one time and be like, it doesn't stand for that anymore. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's roll it back for a second. People need to understand also, though, they may not have heard of HiberSense before today's show, but they need to truly appreciate the gravity of that accomplishment, right? This is not an old company. When did you guys actually decide to become a corporation and get into this business?
So a little over 2 years ago now, I think we founded the company. We were literally still students at the University of Pittsburgh. We were a week from graduation. We were still dealing with finals. We were actually driving across the state, competing in a Department of Energy competition, trying to win that, trying to get some funding. And we were like, oh, well, crap, we need to actually be a company for this to work. So we founded
Sounds
the
like
company.
A good plan, yeah.
And so when Jake says we, he doesn't mean me.
No. So the original founding team was myself, one of my classmates at the University of Pittsburgh, Brendan Quay, and Daniel Mose, is a former chair of computer science at the University of Pittsburgh. He actually stepped down at the time of the founding of the company to help take a bigger role. So
wow, that's quite a credential, isn't it?
Yeah. So he leverages the experience and the technology, and we come with the youth and the excitement.
Don't let him hear you say that. He thinks he brings at least some youth, I assure you.
He definitely brings excitement. So.
There it is. You got to cut the guy a little bit of slack, man. That was a little harsh there for a second.
He is Brazilian. He is
passionate.
He?
Yeah.
Well, because I met him at Demo Day.
Oh, yeah.
And that is an intense dude.
You did not forget him.
No, I'm here to tell you. So you start it, right? And you've got a winner, right? Just from the pure, this is going to save a ton of energy, and therefore it has value. But then it had to occur to you that there's this whole, like supply chain between where you're standing and where the consumer is, right?
Yeah.
How do you go to market? Like what did you come up with in those 2 years?
So, and this is one of the reasons we've had Bob join the team. When we first started, we thought, okay, we're going to go out and we're just going to sell directly to people. Maybe we'll do a Kickstarter. We were kind of naive.
Yeah.
That wasn't Bob.
Bob did not come up with that strategy.
No,
Bob was not there yet.
No, that's a tough thing. I mean, how would you know though?
And you don't until you kind of go out there and you fall on your face and you figure it out.
There it is.
We knew that selling direct to the consumer was a challenge, and we had so many different moving pieces as a part of our kind of whole solution that while we were designing it to be nice and easy, it still required some know-how to get the job done.
Yeah,
So
I mean, just based on the sheer volume of copper connections that people are making. I mean, that's pretty pedestrian compared to what you're doing, and that there is an obstacle.
So when we met Bob and he was like, look, I can help you set up this installation network and help you work with the right people that are already going into homes. The people that we try to work with now are HVAC contractors, smart home integrators. And when you're uncomfortable at your home, you have this expensive piece of equipment. It's probably the most expensive piece of equipment you have in your home, sitting in the basement, and it's not working the way you want it to.
Yeah. You're
not going to go down there and try to hack around and figure out what's going on. You're going to call the guy you think is an expert, which is the HVAC contractor.
Absolutely.
So what we want to do is leverage their experience and work with them to actually deliver our product in a way that makes sense and it works well for them right off the bat.
So how did you two get connected?
So at the time we were a part of the Alpha Lab Gear program.
Great program.
And Alana Diamond, the managing director, introduced us. They
Great
knew each
director.
other through business. She's been great for us, just introducing us and helping guide us where we need to go and just kind of pointing out the things that we might need to do in the future.
So you knew Alana already, Bob?
So you talk about sales and marketing and PR here, right? I mean, the network is the key, right? And I would say to anybody listening and beyond, right? It doesn't matter what your role is in a company. You build your network, you meet people, you be nice to them, and you figure out how to help them because that comes back around to you at some point in time. So I hadn't spoken to Alana in many, many years, but I knew Alana Diamond through our work at the Consumer Technology Association.
Nice.
And those are the folks who happen to own the Consumer Electronics Show. And we were both in a leadership, member leadership roles there. And I knew her when she ran her own consumer electronics company, right? And so as she was watching these guys, develop the prototypes, seeing people like wanting to give them money to put these prototypes into their homes, as the director of this program, helping startups, grow and become viable companies, she, obviously recognized that, a couple of really smart guys, they need some business help, right? So he opens up the Rolodex and says, who can help them? And, thankfully Bob Fields was in that Rolodex
right.
With specific experience that could really help take HiberSense, to that next level and help these guys. So Alana introduced us and basically by phone in about February of 2017. It feels like a long time now. February 2017, we did a whole bunch of Skype calls back and forth, what's going on, listening to all their hopes and dreams. And
we definitely grilled them. We were trying to make sure that, because we were at that point looking to kind of change our strategy in terms of going to the market. So
this was either a great thing or an existential threat.
We were pushing him really hard in one direction, and he can tell the story better.
And even before we get there, right? So we had these great conversations, and again, we're in a marketplace where everybody understands the need. If you have a forced air heating and cooling system, you have hot rooms and cold rooms. You totally get it, and you're calling to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. And so I went down and spent a couple of intense days with the guys because I'm from Boston, if you can't tell.
I didn't hear it at all.
And I had, now to back up a minute, I've been working with startups for about almost 10 years now.
Nice.
And, I originally come from the automotive electronics aftermarket.
Okay.
Those of us of a certain age grew up with car stereo.
Right.
What better industry to be involved with, right? Cars, music. Being part of the association, and I totally recommend people join associations as part of their business, but don't join just to be a joiner. Join to get involved and understand what's happening in your industry. And I knew just from my own work that the automotive electronics aftermarket was a declining market.
Had to be.
And I've been trying to get in, and long before we talked about the Internet of Things, and I even had a name for that. We knew about sensorization and smart homes and big data. And so I've been searching for an opportunity like that. Now, I can get really excited about technology. And so I started working and helping some other companies through, the network that I had developed. And, what I discovered was entrepreneurs don't lie on purpose.
No.
Right? They believe everything that they say, right?
Yeah.
Because they're passionate about what it is, just as I am when I get involved. So,
But then new data often introduces itself into the situation, and then what happens next defines you.
They're in their own virtual reality, and it's just not real, right? So I came to Pittsburgh for a couple of intense days, and as Jake said, we had some very intense conversations about ideas about going to market and how we develop this and products and all of that, and everything was really going quite swimmingly until about almost 45 minutes before I should have been leaving already, when we were talking about go-to-market strategies and how things would be, and they were really drilling me on, well, people are telling us we should do this, and I finally said, hey, look, if you want to do that, I can help you with your business because I'm a business guy, but you're not going to be able to take advantage of, my network and the opportunities that we have. But that's when, that was really the part of the genesis of our working relationship. I love working with these guys because, one, they're super smart. You know that. You've met them. You've talked to them.
It's really obvious.
Two, you're really delivering on their promise of what they can do. But three, they're open-minded, right? So when I work with a startup, I want to know three things. One, is their technology all that?
Yeah.
And HiberSense is all that. Two, how close to commercialization are they? Because nobody makes money unless you sell something over and over again.
Gotcha.
If you're a startup out there trying to raise money, don't be judged on how much money you raise. You got to get your product out there and sell it over and over again.
The king of all vanity metrics.
And number three is, are they open-minded, right? Are they willing to listen? And one of the things that's been really interesting, I've worked with a lot of people that just kind of listen to what I have to say because I got a lot of gray hair and I've done a lot of things. But these guys push back and make me answer why. They want to know why.
Well, let me tell you what I like about what I see when you guys are sitting here at this table together, right? And yes, this includes snap judgments, and it's just going to have to be okay, right? I see you, Bob, as the guy that protects the thinkers and basically gives them the space because you're trusted. I see the trust that Jake has, right, in turning that stuff over to you. And that's critical. That is sort of like the seed that becomes a larger version of this little microcosm you're living in right now, where Bob goes out there and he's your barroom brawler, right? He goes out there and he's like, no, your assumptions are wrong, and let me tell you why, and this is why you should love it, right? And that gives you that opportunity to breathe and think and what's 2.0 and 3.0 and 4.0 going to yield, and what do customers tell me, on the backside after they've made the purchase, and those kinds of things. It's really nice to be able to delegate something so mission critical to someone that you can trust. Does that feel right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think one of the things that was a challenge for us early on was just kind of that aspect of it. We had a really good technical team and we could make things work, right?
Yeah.
But having somebody out there kind of pushing around and seeing what is out there and what isn't out there and what we need to know, it's helpful for us for sure.
Well, I'll tell you this. A lot of times the mistake, and it's not a mistake so much, it's the talent that's available to a lot of people that are at the age that HiberSense is at right now is good theoretical, good academic talent, but there is a huge, and I'm speaking just from experience and my opinion, not everyone has to agree. You need someone who gets up on their back legs and fights, right? You need someone who understands that the mission is not to stay clean clean is unethical. Of course they have to stay clean.
Sure.
Clean as in you're going to go out there and not everything's going to be perfect. Right. And sometimes you need to completely reframe a conversation. And sometimes you need to reject the premise of a conversation that somebody throws at you in order to advance your cause. So how do you build out this network? Is this a thing where you're calling people that are doing HVAC stuff, or are they starting to come to you?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. And then also going out and taking part in trade shows like CES, and there's HVAC focused shows that make sense for us, and shows where people that are there, they do smart home integration, so they're installing those nice custom home theaters and the nice panels and things that they work with. And so you get out there and you talk to the right people and you sell them that this is something that could really make a big impact for their customers.
there's probably some element of this too, where having the same sort of technological backbone could be useful, right? Like if it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or Zigbee or, Z-Wave. I mean, I don't know what all technologies you guys are connected to, but I have to believe that's at least part of it, yes?
Yeah. So most of our sensors, our devices are all powered by Bluetooth. They communicate with our central hub, which from there is actually going out to the cloud, giving you the chance to use a mobile app to interact with it, tell us whether you're hot, you're cold, set your preferences, and then all that stuff that we're aggregating from those Bluetooth devices, it's helping you learn, what rooms you use the most.
Scott's bedroom is always too warm. Yes.
So you go to bed at some time and we start to learn those patterns. So you can say, I want the good night scene. So 30 minutes before that comes up, we start to cool it down.
Yeah.
So that when you walk in, because it's not like a motion light switch. When you walk into a room with a motion light switch, boom, the light goes on and you have light. If you walk into a hot room and you kick the AC on, it's still hot.
And one of the things that's interesting about that is everybody has kind of adapted, right? Like I've been in my house for, I don't know, like a dozen years, right? Now you're telling people that their house can kind of be new to them again, right? There's a really interesting value there in you can be happier in the home. It can almost be new to you once again. As you talk to people, you already sort of suggested that what they really want is comfort. And then the second thing might be energy savings, right? But what else are they telling you that they like?
Well, I think the vast amount of information that we gather kind of helps us empower them and helps them make better decisions about how they're managing the heating and cooling. And it gives us opportunities to kind of help them manage the entirety of their home and how they use it and understand sort of themselves a little bit better.
But basically, also, we give them the tools to manage it, right? But at the end of the day, we actually don't want them doing it.
Right.
Because we will actually manage it better than they will.
Yeah.
But by giving them that control to begin with, we build trust with them because now they're able to say, oh, I did this, it did that. Oh, wait a minute, I'm here, I'm comfortable right now. The longer you actually use our system, the less you actually have to integrate with it, right? So
the patterns start to form.
We have the capabilities to provide, detailed scheduling and scenes, as Jake mentions, away and all of that. But at the end of the day, you actually don't even need to use it.
Right.
Right. Just tell us.
That's the ideal.
Just tell us how comfortable you are on a room by room basis, and we learn when you come and go. We learn if you don't show up. Right, so we'll have the room ready for you, and then we don't keep doing it if you don't show up, and we shut it off when you leave, right? So we maximize that comfort, right? So you don't even know, right? So the best thing is you don't even know.
You don't, right? Again, why would you want to, right? There's an old design thinking question that you should ask when you're thinking about like what should a user interface be, right? And it's what would this do if it were magic, right? And I've always loved that question as a way to sort of approach what a new thing or a new campaign or a new whatever should be, a new, again, website user interface should be. And if it were magic, it would just be comfortable. That's the answer to that question.
That's it. Yep. Right. But we actually, in one of our installations today was a light commercial property. And the manager, I was talking to the manager later. The supervisor had told the manager that they did not want to give everybody control of the HiberSense system, right? Because we're coming out of a solution where they have the lock thermostat, right?
I love the lock thermostat.
How many of you work in a place where there's a lock thermostat, right? And only the maintenance guy or the boss can come out and do it, right? And so the supervisor told the manager, hey, look, I don't want everybody to do it. I'll do it. I'll take care of it. And I just said to the manager, I go, look, no.
You're not even going to need it.
This is, the problem is she's thinking about an old world solution to an old world problem. We're giving you a new world solution to that old world problem. Because the other thing that we give is not just the people, the capability for individuals to control it, but we're going to give that supervisor the ability to see what they did. So today you can't do that. In our world, you can see who did what when and understand. And then if you balance the fact that she likes it 3 degrees more than you do, at the end of the month when you still saved 33% on your energy bill, who cares?
That's where I was going next. I was wondering whether or not the individual employees had the ability to report their relative comfort.
Absolutely.
That's a killer.
Yep.
We in one of our pilot programs last year, we did a one floor of a downtown Pittsburgh office building, and there was 14 offices, 2 common areas, in the building on this floor, and it was all controlled by one thermostat and one HVAC system that was on one side of the building. So they ran, I think, in that facility 4 space heaters all year long, summer and winter, because depending on
flip. Yeah.
It would flip, right? So the person in the summertime who was next to the HVAC was freezing, right? Because she was next to it, and the people ran fans. But then it flipped in the wintertime, right? She needed to run a fan, right, and the other one needed to run a space heater.
Was this over at the URA?
No.
Because I saw you guys were over there too, and they loved it.
Yeah, we like the URA for sure here in Pittsburgh.
Well, I asked just because I mean those were pretty big reviews, and I can't believe that their space is like a brand new building.
Yeah,
right?
we're absolutely made to be retrofit friendly, right? Because all these buildings exist with all of these problems, and we can fix it. So, we got rid of the space heaters. We learned a lot of lessons too, right? We used to think we could control the temperature in every space, but that person who is next to the 25-year-old picture window is still going to have to run a space heater because that window leaks and is cold. And so now they actually put that on their capital budget plan to replace that window, because now they recognize that it's a problem. Because not only did they see that they got rid of these other space heaters, but we've also given them all the data for all of the rooms that they can make those decisions on.
You know what else is interesting about that is the fact that you've given them an easy entry point into analyzing energy use now, right? Like now when you're talking about that window, it doesn't feel like you're polishing the brass on the Titanic, right? You're like, yeah, of course we're leaking energy. Everything about this process is inefficient, right? Like seriously, you can
easily map out exactly where the problems are. You can show them like, with raw data, here's the room, here's the difference. You can see it with your own eyes.
That's cool.
It's really key. Yeah.
Nice.
And we've also learned some pretty cool things too, right? We also learned that in 2 office spaces that, the people in the middle are still slightly uncomfortable. And we recommended that they just switch offices because the temperatures would match what they would want them to be. Unfortunately, because they're using archaic other systems, they're not able to do it. But because we have the data, we're able to make those recommendations. I mean, we even found a roommate that was physically incompatible with her other roommates because every time she was cold, all 3 of her other roommates hit that they were hot, right? So at first we're troubleshooting our system to figure out what's wrong with our system. It's not working. And then we step back and look at the data. It says, oh, sorry, you are physically incompatible with your roommates. You may like them, but you're incompatible.
This sounds like data you want to sell to Match.com. I'm just saying. Like, just be like, no, this one here's cold-blooded, but this one over here loves it toasty. One thing that pops up whenever you start getting the channel involved, right? Like you've got this HVAC channel out there, is training, right? Like I've seen a bunch of great products do poorly because the representation is poor. Like they didn't fully understand it. They didn't send enough people to training. They didn't, they thought it was one thing and then they started selling it and then they called you for an assist and you said, wait, you said what?
That's as much or a bigger problem at retail though, right? You have the solution, you put the market, you try and give them all the information. And first of all, what retailer actually has trained people on the floor anymore?
They're box
right?
movers,
they're gone. Circuit City was the master of trained salespeople, and they're long gone now, right? There's probably people listening that are like, who's Circuit City?
Yeah.
Right? So, that's a problem no matter where you stand. And this is what happens with a lot of startups is they get, first of all, they want to see how much money they can raise, right? But then all of those investors, and we face it, they're pushing them, DIY, direct to consumer. That's the way to go. Big market, blah, blah, blah.
I couldn't disagree more.
And so, we're all on the same page in this room, but if we're talking to investors, that may not be the case. So what we're doing and what we're focused on right now is rolling out our product in a methodical way that ensures that doesn't happen. So, we're literally 2.5 years old right now, and we're delivering a 3rd-generation product on a very small budget. It's a privilege for me to work. It's a privilege for me to work with these super smart guys who want to do it right. We've actually approached this to build HiberSense in Pennsylvania. So our sensor, which was designed from the ground up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Our circuit boards are made about 20 minutes north of here, and our injection molding will happen in Erie, Pennsylvania. So
how about that?
Not only are we made in the U.S., but we're made in Pennsylvania.
Big respect for that.
And also on our vent package, it'll be the same componentry and same thing. So we definitely are on track for made in America designation. There's no real certification. It's kind of self-reported.
Yeah.
We're making sure that, and especially in the construction world, which we're in, right? And the tradespeople, it's really important. And we think it's important too. Hey, we've got 25+% tariffs on products that are happening, and we don't know when that's going to stop right now, right?
Yeah.
With
You're
there's not a
uniquely
trade war
positioned.
yet.
No, you're uniquely positioned on that.
Well, and we actually use a thermostat today as part of our solution, which is subjected now to a 25% tariff. I
Right.
mean, that affects the price of how we're able to sell our system.
Bob,
That's
you
a
may
real
very
problem.
well be the first person to ever sit on that couch who's having their injection molding done in Erie, Pennsylvania. Okay, or anywhere near.
And we're super excited about it. And the fact of the matter is we're an American company. We're based here. We're Pittsburgh born and bred, and we're happy to be able to do this here for selfish and altruistic reasons as well, right? We're bringing jobs to the area.
Yeah.
Right. We've hired 2 people so far this year. We're on track to hopefully hire 3 or 4 more within the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And as our plan goes, we're going to do that right here in Pittsburgh.
I wish you guys nothing but the best of success. Bob and Jake from HiberSense, thanks for coming in.
Hey, thanks, Scott.
Thanks for having us.
All right, that's the end of the ride. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks to Bob and Jake again for coming in, and everybody over at HiberSense. Hopefully, you are subscribed to this fine program by now. If not, get onto your phone and click that button. It will make it much easier for you to receive sales, marketing, and startup stuff every single Wednesday morning. Subscribers get it first, and everybody else has to wait for the website to throw it up. It just doesn't seem like it's a good way to do it. Hang on. Next week, Buzzy and I will have another one of these out to you. In the meantime, take care of yourself.
The Pitchwerks podcast comes to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a production of the Epicast Network and McTaggart, LLC. Engineering and production by Buzzy Torek and Nick Miller. For more information, show feedback, and ad sales, visit pitchwerks.com. pitchwerks.com. On social media, find and follow the show on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram using that same brand name, pitchwerks.